guys, jam repair. I have had carb issues for a while. I went through, replaced, pretty much bought every single part for the carb, and it worked for about a year. Then it shut off one day. I'm gonna show you how to fix this. I was driving it, full throttle wouldn't work. I tried a few different things. No, it did not work. I removed the air filter cover off of the engine, but left this filter on, and sure enough, it took off screaming. So, first what you want to do is take off the seat, take off this cover. You'll see two 10mm bolts, and that is for the air box. That is normally located right here. So take that off. And there is a bar right here that goes across to this and this. Take that off. Take off the vent tube. Be sure to keep all your parts close together. So take off this and uh-oh, losing parts here. This carb, everything sits right here. So take out the carb, take off this, just loosen it up, but don't take it off. This hose right here goes underneath here. You're gonna have to take off your cap, pull it up, and then pull this tube out. It's really hard to get back into. But I was having some pretty bad carb problems, and I heard something rattling. And I looked over, I noticed my jet is just hanging out right in there, and I got a bird above my head right now. Yeah, this jet came out, so I'm gonna have to see how to open that. Make sure your fingers aren't dirty when you're playing around with everything in here, because then if you get dirt in your engine, it's not good for it. But anyway, so I just figured out where this jet goes. I wasn't really looking at anything, I was just looking around. I didn't want to look it up. So be sure to grab that washer too. Stick it over. Could clean it off. I'm not going to. Stick it on. I mean, it's not even damaged. Guess it was just messing around out there, huh? So I'm gonna try to do this in a spot where you can see it, but here's the end. And it slips over. There's a little hole, see? You gotta put it through, and it sits like that. So I'm gonna set this down for a sec so I don't lose it. Put the throttle back in. And you don't need to take the choke out for this, but put the throttle back in. Try to pull it. See if you can thread it in without stripping the threads because it's too tight. I just do it by hand until you got most of the way in. But once it's tight, grab your, I don't know what it is, 8mm, for this style 2004 Polaris Sportsman 400. Just so it's tight. Then you can put the sleeve back over. So, here comes the fun part. Getting this throttle back on. And I do not like doing this step. So put it through, and you're gonna have to push it through the hole next to it. It's hard to describe, but oh, damn. So, right here, I had to push it up, around. There's a slot right in there, and the cable goes through. It's really hard to put in. Cable goes through there. There's a lot of spring tension. Doesn't seem like it, but there is. Okay. Now, pick up the carb. Try to push it. Another hard part is trying to get the carb on. So you're gonna have to turn it, twist it any way you can. Just try to, bam, slides in. Oh. Just be sure to check your choke cable, see if it's pulling out. And it is. Check your throttle. And one thing that I just forgot was to put this stupid cover on. To protect the throttle. So, take the car back off because you just forgot to put that stupid cover on if you didn't watch far enough. It's just a dust cover so that stuff does not go into the carb. There is 3 Allen bolts for that. They're little, so don't drop them. I'd consider getting a magnet with you or a magnetic screwdriver, but right now I don't have one. So after those are in, push the carbon. Check your choke and your throttle. Clean out any dirt maybe. And this bolt way in. Turn it in so it's snug, or you will be sucking air into your engine and also dirt and debris, even water. So just be careful. Make sure it's on tight. So I didn't show us taking it apart. That's the only problem. But these hoses, this one does not have gasoline going through it. It's a vent tube. Well, not a vent tube, but it is a vacuum tube. The gas tube is on the other side. Let's show this. Here's the gasoline tube, right here. But I'd put this vent on, this vacuum tube right here, connect it, and then grab pliers right here. Just make sure it's tight on there. That's not going anywhere. Move this out of the way again, because we are gonna have to put our vents on. Right here. There's a certain way that these go. The longer end goes into your frame right here. I don't know why they do that, but it's even dirty in there, so it's kind of stupid that they do that. So push the vent on, the smaller one, put the middle one on, or you could wait to do it, but I tend to do those first, so that's tighter. If this zip tie gets in the way, just pull it, but push it until it goes into your frame. Like I said, if you put this middle one on, it starts to push it easier. Just make sure it's in. Then I would grab your bar that goes across. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to put these nuts on yet. You're gonna want to pull the carb over, move it around, and stick your bolts through. Mine are pretty stripped because they are a pain to get off. So I'd spray something on there with the carb covered so that nothing goes in to the carb. Probably put never sees on it, but I'm not gonna do that. So then you could put your gas tube back on and hook it up, but the only problem is I'm not gonna do that is because I know what was wrong with my carb. So, I mean, when you're rebuilding, you might want to check it and see if it runs from here, if it's just not running at all. Or you could just put this cover on, put the gas tube in, completely put it back together, and see if it works. So now we will put these 10 millimeters on right here and just position it. I mean, you can slide it, you can do whatever with it, but put it in a position where the carb isn't gonna slide out as easy. And just make sure it doesn't move. This is probably the most important besides making sure that clip is on the inside, that clamp. Because if that clamp is on and it's tight, but this slides out, it's not good. You'd probably suck dirt pretty quick. So that is 7/16. Tighten it up. Now, what I'm just gonna do is put the gas line on before we put this back. You know, Polaris does not make this easy, but what you're gonna wanna do is, after you get this line on, that's really, really hard to get in, unscrew your gas tank cap. There is 2 bolts that go in here, but I don't know, they were never there when I got the 4-wheeler. So take the gas cap off, then you want to pull it up. See, it pops back and forth. Pull it up, bam. Then you're gonna want to screw these in, but I don't have the bolts. I don't know what happened to them. Put the gas cap on so that you don't get debris down there. I didn't loosen up this clamp because it was still kind of loose, but it's really tight. I don't think I can put that on yet. So grab your flathead. Right there. Loosen it up. Push it onto your carb, make sure it's seated. Now tighten it up. So I just fixed this tube right here. It's really hard to keep track of those. So once we get everything that feels like it will stay there, time to put our air filter on. And then our two 10mm screws. There's a clamp that goes over that air filter, but I am not putting it on yet because I want to see if it runs right, if everything performs right. Basically the bolt came out before, so the valve came out before, so I am figuring it might come out again, so I'm just preparing myself for that. I'm looking for my 10mm. Set it down. Right here. Now I'm not going to add the plastics to the sides, those are just tabs that go in. There's also this other tube that comes down. I'm gonna pull it out. Damn. Sometimes this can get caught up here. It's a pain in the neck. Bam. I have a fuel filter on here because my other valve, the auto store didn't have a replacement for, but it is still a filter, so it would be doing its job. This is an air filter breather that goes here, but they didn't have it. So now all we need is our cover and the foam for the seat. This goes up like that, goes over. So I emptied out my fuel so that would be easier. We also need to open up this valve for the fuel. Clean off all the tools. Set them aside. This might take a few cranks. might have something. So it's the next day. I haven't started it up since yesterday, so let's see how it starts. So she's all fixed and ready to go. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.